Good morning. It is Ginny, Tim, and Eli at DSTech in the beautiful Upper Peninsula of Michigan here to bring you some more tech tips and topics. We're talking about ticketing, our ticketing system, and we're going to take a trip down memory lane a little bit too.
Yeah.
But before we do, go to DSTech.net to sign up for your free security assessment and check out our newsletter. And email us at security@dstech.net is just another way to get in touch with us if you need any of those things, or if you want Eli to pop in and say hi.
Hello.
So, yeah. So do those things. And Tim.
Yeah. So, the topic today is going to be mainly about the ticketing system, why we have it in place, some of the efficiencies, and why we do it. But before we get into the ticketing system, it would be good to kind of understand where it was before that. I came into DSTech relatively recently. Ticketing system was already implemented, so I already learned that system. I wasn't really around, and I guess you call it the wild, wild west ways of back in the day. So I guess if you want to elaborate, how did request and how did service used to happen, I guess, in the very beginning of DSTech?
I remember I've been here since we had one tech and me.
Okay.
So, I've been here a while. Can you believe it? Anyway, I remember, people would just bring in their systems and they would say, fix it, or they would call and, you just kind of like a firefighter response, right? I mean, it was just like, put out the fire, people would call and you'd respond. And so it's totally different now because, and then also what happened as we evolved and grew and hired more techs, what would happen is they would want to talk to their favorite tech, and that tech would work with their favorite customers, right? And then,
I always do work with Travis, send them over,
Right. I know people still want that, and I understand. I totally get it because I do that.
Yeah, customer familiarity. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
When I'm, I like having a rep at Dell and a rep at Cisco. So anyway, but that's besides the point. But what would happen is things would get dropped. People would stop working on this and work on this and then forget about that. Or another tech would come in to work on it.
Right.
And we talked a little bit about this, but we would be like, oh, hey, Tim, do you remember working on so-and-so's computer? What did you do and all that?
Right. And you're just trying to remember what happened. And I can see that.
So we were relying on people's memory too.
Like, hey, Joe, what'd you already do on this computer so I can pick up where you left off? And there was no like, what was already done? Where do I need to start? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's just, it was messy. It was messy. And then I remember too, when we tried to implement like a system, it was like in-out box. Like we would write down the problem on a little piece of paper. That would be the inbox. And the tech would grab the ticket. That was a ticket, the piece of paper.
Physical ticket.
This is what I'm working on. And then they would put it in the outbox when they were done. I mean, that didn't work so well either. We've evolved.
Yep.
And I know a lot of us fought the changes as we went along. Like you said, like, oh, now I got to write it down and now I got to track my time and all this.
Right.
Thing.
I just spent an hour fixing something. Now you want me to write it all down what I just did? It's fixed. Why, why bother? But, there's reasons for it, and it definitely helps. I'll go into some of the good.
Yeah, for sure.
For
so that's, a little bit of history.
Yep.
And here we are with this. I mean, it's pretty awesome, actually.
Yep.
Because I can go in and I can, if a customer calls and they're talking to me, I'm like, oh, well, let me just look at the ticket and see what Tim did.
Yep.
So
that's kind of the overall mentality. Sounds like back in the day, it was more just like, something's broken, call us. We're the firefighters with your computer. We're going to fix your computer, and then we'll go on to the next fire, essentially. And so you're just kind of jumping from fire to fire to fire, and you're always reacting.
Exactly.
So by having a ticketing system implemented and getting all the fires under control, you're essentially trying to put them up before they even start. It's kind of the idea that you're getting to all the, all. So I can just go into some of our ticketing system. I just know how it works. It will alert us to certain events. So if, security alerts is the biggest thing. If it's like, Saturday, 2 a.m, attackers tend to, do something on the weekend and something weird's happening, like an administrator's logging into your computer and it's outside of the hours of normal business, it automatically will create a ticket, alert us, and send us. And so we can be alerted to things automatically.
We actually had something this weekend, didn't we?
I'm not sure. I wasn't.
There was something that happened and one of our techs went in and implemented the fix for it.
Oh, the Outlook,
In-
the Outlook one.
Yeah.
Yes. There's
Yeah.
an Outlook vulnerability right now affecting all the Outlook clients, which is the Outlook on your computer versus the web version. And it's so sophisticated that if you don't even need to open the email. Remember how we're always like, don't click the link, don't click the link.
Yeah.
This one is so sophisticated that you don't even need to click the link. You just need to click
That's
the email,
kind of scary.
and then it will start
is.
grabbing your credentials. So
That's
you
crazy.
know, yeah, it's pretty out there.
That's
so
crazy.
then we had a tech instantly create a script, push it to all our clients, and be able to update that. So come Monday, they're not even, it's just
nobody
following
even
it,
knew.
checking it.
I didn't know.
Same thing with the
So
ticketing
yeah,
system is
so
huge with
Yeah.
like servers. If you have a server and say you normally don't start business till 9 a.m. every day, well, we might get an alert, some text trickling in at 7:30, 8 o'clock that your server's down in the morning. We will get a tech on that, start up the server, and it'll be up and running before you even get into the office. And you won't even know that your server was down. But because of the ticking system, the way we have all the servers in there, we can check that every morning. And we check for down servers, and we can bring them up before it's even a problem. And so that's a huge advantage. You as a customer might not even know that's happening, but in the background, we're taking care of that for you. So you can just focus on your day-to-day business. The idea is that you don't have to worry about the computers. That's just taken care of.
Do you find that you're as a tech too, and I don't know if you do any of the time tracking, but
Oh, sure.
do you find that it helps keep you like a little bit more focused? Like, oh,
Yes.
this is the list of tickets for the day. I'm working on this
Every
one.
morning, my routine is I pretty much come in, check my email, all the messages, standard stuff. But then what I do is I review my schedule for the day, and typically dispatch has it pretty good, but then I can kind of tweak things and move things around and kind of prioritize it. And the nice thing with the ticketing system is you're allocating yourself the amount of time so you can actually dig in and focus on your topics. Be like, I want an hour for this, 30 minutes for this. Ooh, this is going to take maybe 2 hours, and you can kind of set that up with the ticketing system and really lock it in. So where you can actually focus, makes you more efficient. So you're not constantly getting bugged during your process
Absolutely.
to interrupt that.
That's
that
what
train
the
of
problem
thought.
was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because Paul was our bench tech,
Okay.
and he would be working on something, and then somebody would call and think, well, I need you to work on this. He would have to drive, and then to go back to that other
And
task.
trying to figure out what did I leave off doing.
You're wasting a lot of time,
Yep.
believe it or not.
And so
Yeah. Anyway,
and so then
keep
you have
going.
all the techs have their schedules available. So we have the dispatch, which when someone calls in and they're like, hey, I have a computer, they can look at every single person's schedule and see who's free to give the customer the better service too. So it's better for the customer and for us because you're getting service more quickly, more efficiently, consistently across the board.
And nothing's getting
promotes a lot
forgotten.
better
Nothing's getting forgotten
'Cause
about.
they're right there.
The accountability is huge for techs. You
Yeah.
can have someone come in who's only been in your company for a year or two, but they're able to handle some stuff that maybe you would require someone to be at a customer for quite a few years to understand the environment. But because of all the tickets and the notes that are in the tickets after things are done, if a customer comes in with a request, hey, X happened, we can look, oh, this has already happened. It happened a year and a half ago. And
We
here's
just
the
gotta do
ticket.
this.
And here's the answer already
Right.
given to
Here's
us
what we did.
because here's what we did last time. And
Yeah.
it's already in there for you. So it allows you to
Very
have
cool.
quicker responses on reoccurring issues if they do come up, better training. It just, there's so much advantages with it. Some of them allow you to leave feedback. So at the end of a ticket, when we're done with the job, you can give us, thumbs up, thumbs down, a neutral face, and that can allow us to know, hey, are you happy with our service? Do we need to do better? All that kind of stuff can help us just to do.
Leave a comment too.
Yeah, comments as well
Oh,
are
yes.
huge. We do get all the comments, all the likes and dislikes that you always leave on any of the tickets. They do come in and we do, review
We're
them.
always improving
always
the
looking
process.
to improve.
Yeah, for sure.
Because even if we do something and we fixed it well, maybe there's something we could do even better. Or
Yeah.
maybe, expectations, we always want to be able to meet that and exceed that for you. And also the biggest thing with ticketing is the prioritization, where, you have all your techs doing something. If a true emergency came in, we're able to look at the schedules and decide what can we kind of bump and kind of, deal with the emergency that as it's happening right now. So, and that'll allow for any customer. So it's not like one customer is basically getting the favorite treatment, preferential treatment versus everyone else. Everyone's getting the same treatment across the board because of the process we have in place are just the way it is. And then the biggest thing is with alerting. It alerts us to stuff if you have a server, and we can put rules in place. Like if the CPU or the brain of your computer is working at 90% or greater for say 30 minutes at a time, that's kind of why is it running that hard for so long? We'll get a ticket and we can look into it and maybe look at performance issues, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Backup alerts. If your backup for whatever reason didn't complete in time properly last night, we get alerts every day. We review them every single day, and we fix the ones that for some reason didn't finish. So you always have a living backup, which is important for ransomware and things like that. So all these processes would not be possible if it wasn't for the ticketing system alerting us to this. And
it's a proactive approach instead of a
Yes.
reactive approach.
Correct.
Kind of
It's like when you go to the doctor
Yeah.
every year, you're
Where
going
you're
to the
just
doctor
not-
to
Yeah.
to get a physical. You're like, hey, check me out, see what's going on. Do I need to work on anything? That kind of thing. That's kind of the preventative maintenance in the computer. Is we're not waiting till we have the heart attack and you're all of a sudden need to be triaged in the
Yeah.
hospital. We want to make sure we're checking our cholesterol and things up to that point and making adjustments along the way, so that way
So it doesn't
the
happen.
event doesn't even happen. You're not having to worry about that. So that's kind of the idea with the preventative maintenance.
the
versus-
cost too.
People always worry, all this cost about all this stuff. It actually will save you, I forget the exact percentages, but by having the preventative, the amount of money you're spending to save for the event will always be better than if the event actually happens. The amount of downtime you have, the customers, the business you're losing in that downtime is always going to be far greater than the little bit of money you're spending ahead of time to prevent that from happening in the first place.
Exactly. And the same in the healthcare industry. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
reason why insurance companies pay you to get your wellness checks.
Yep.
That's why, because it costs them a lot less and it costs you a lot less.
Yep.
So, and it's the same in our industry. So,
Yeah.
Good
So
information.
that's pretty much that. Biggest one thing too is if you do our like financial industry or a certain industry that gets a lot of audits, tickets are huge for compliance because the auditors are always like, "What did you do?" And we have a history trail of everything that has happened,
It's there.
as well as its accountability for the techs. If you weren't satisfied with something, we can look at it and see and maybe correct it and prevent it from happening in the future. There's nothing wrong with that as well.
It's
Being
good for us
accountable
and
your
good for them.
actions. Yeah.
And, did we talk about reaction time?
Yeah, because typically, with back in the day, you call and you get your thing, and then like you're saying, Paul would have to drop it, get on this, go back there. It was kind of like a Wild West. It was kind of going over
everything
the
was
place.
up in the air.
With the ticketing system, if something hasn't been touched for like 2 or 3 days or whatever, that's going to be found instantly, and they're going to be like, hey, why aren't you not touching this?
Yeah, why is this
what's going
ticket
on
still
here?
open?
Why is it still open? And they can assign it to someone to make sure. So things will not be dropped, and the response time overall averaged is so much better now, where you're not having that one thing that you're like, oh, this is minor, I can put it off for a while, and then next
We
thing you know,
have
you
a
forget about
stat.
it.
Not now, because it's never.
Yeah, Eric gave me a stat once about our response time, and our response time is
It's huge in the industry, where if you're like in a big city and you put a ticket in, sometimes you won't even get a reply for over 24 hours. Or at least with us, you get a reply and you'll get that response time usually within the same day. And then we
usually
can get scheduled.
it depends.
It depends.
I
If
mean,
we're
if there's-
busy, you might not get it, but I've heard stories too, like some people put in a ticket in like bigger cities like Milwaukee or Chicago, and you're looking like 3 to 4 days before you even get a response, which is just insane to me. If you have a problem, I need to not fix now. Like that's everyone's mentality.
Sure it is.
So,
yeah.
For 24 hours, that's pretty good. What we have up here.
Yeah, we have good response. And it's because of the ticketing system. We can thank the ticketing system for all of these benefits. So,
yeah.
Good stuff. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. And memory lane is interesting always. So, well, that's what we have for you today. Make it a great day. Put a ticket in if you need some help, which would be, what is it? It's on our website. Go to DSTech.net and just say, I want to open a ticket. But otherwise, email security@DSTech.net if you have any questions, and go to our website if you want to sign up for a free assessment. Drop your questions. It gives us more stuff to talk about. So make it a great day.